Testing.
Yes.
It's on. So good to go? I'm gonna get off the stage first.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, the ceremony will begin in 5 minutes. Please silence all cell phones and electronic devices at this time. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the entrance of the commissionees and the stage party, and remain standing for the playing of the national anthem and the invocation.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I invite you to join me in the invocation. Our Father God, we have gathered together today to recognize publicly that these young men and women have attained the skills, knowledge, wisdom, and potential to be commissioned officers in our United States Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marine Corps. God, I pray that you would raise them up to be leaders of character, integrity, resolve, and honor. May they be decisive in their decision-making, relentless in their pursuit of excellence, and unwavering in the enforcement of the highest moral and ethical standards. May they be brave and courageous, able to face uncertainty and danger with confidence and poise. May they lead by example that others would seek to emulate them. Grant them insight that they might correctly balance the demands of command and mission with the needs of their subordinates and families. May they always turn to you for wisdom and find that you are their unfailing refuge and strength. May they always sense your presence in their midst, and may they find that their faith never fails them. We ask this all in your holy name. Amen.
Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, the Superintendent of the Virginia Military Institute, General P.
Good morning. On behalf of Mr. William Bolin, President of the VMI Board of Visitors, Brigadier General Terry DeJuric, Commandant of the Cadet Corps of the Virginia Women's Institute for Leadership at Mary Baldwin University, and the entire VMI community. It gives me great pleasure to welcome those who will soon receive commissions, their proud families and friends, members of the VMI faculty and staff, and members of the Corps of Cadets. Today's ceremony marks the culmination of 4 years of serious study and work on the part of each graduate and the beginning of a life of service to the nation in a tradition that extends to the founding of our republic. Moreover, it is the fulfillment of one of the central and historic purposes of the Virginia Military Institute, the preparation of citizen soldiers. Of the important moments that will remain in your memory throughout life, I think this commissioning ceremony certainly will be one of them. We're most fortunate to have with us today as commissioning officers 4 outstanding senior officers whose lengthy service to the nation stands as an inspiration to all of us, and especially to the young men and women who will follow in their paths from this day forward. It is my honor to welcome Army Lieutenant General Theodore D. Martin, a 1983 graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point, who is the Deputy Commanding General, United States Army Training and Doctrine Command at Fort Eustis, Virginia. Vice Admiral Andrew L. Lewis, Commander, U.S. 2nd Fleet and Commander, Joint Forces Command, Norfolk, Virginia, and a 1985 U.S. Naval Academy graduate. Lieutenant General David D. Thompson, Vice Commander, Air Force Space Command, Washington, D.C., and a 1985 graduate of the United States Air Force Academy, and Major General Daniel D. Yu, Commander, U.S. Marine Corps Special Operations Command, and a 1985 graduate of Arizona State University. The participation of these 4 outstanding officers illustrates one of the great strengths of the United States military. Our professional officer corps comes from a mixture of military academies and civilian universities, a balance that advances and reinforces the ideals and aims of our founders and our democracy. And with the wartime demands of duty and responsibility that these officers face, VMI is truly privileged to welcome these officers to deliver the commissioning oath to soon-to-be officers in all services. Although these officers represent separate branches of our armed forces, it is important to remember that all who lead and all who serve our country in the military are members of a dedicated and highly professional joint team with many, many things in common. Not only have they gained their higher education at the same or similar institutions, their advancement through the ranks has included advanced degree programs and attendance at service schools, at times offered by sister services. For those of you who choose to remain in the military, a pathway through these many schools lies before you. VMI, I think, is a foundation. It's really just a starting point from which you now will grow and build your career. The flag officers with us today are products of that outstanding system. They are seasoned officers who have served at the highest echelons of the national command structure, as well as having extensive experience leading soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines in peace and in war. We're honored by their presence today, and let's give them our applause and appreciation for their service to the nation. I now invite our professors of military science and their staffs to stand and receive our expression of our thanks for the inspiring work they have accomplished in teaching and mentoring the young men and women who will be commissioning this morning. Please stand. And now I ask that all of the veterans and those currently serving in the audience stand. Cadets, faculty, staff, parents, grandparents, and other guests here today. "100 years ago, the United States entered the First World War, and as that song has it, thousands of American men and women went, quote, over there, end quote. And by the end of the war, 1,800 VMI alumni had served our country and helped to win victory. At the time, that conflict was referred to as the war to end all wars. But sadly, you know that has not been the case. Despite the hope of permanent peace, 80 years ago, the world plunged into the Second World War, and scores of conflicts have followed. The world continues to be a dangerous place. The fact underscores the continuing and increasing need for a strong military establishment led by highly educated, skilled, and dedicated officers, non-commissioned officers, and soldiers, especially people that can meet the complex challenges of modern warfare. The traditional concept of the battlefield has changed. It's almost changed completely. It's no longer confined to a specific geographic area. Even the nature of warfare is expanding. Professionals from all services now wage combat with remotely guided drones, robotics, satellites, precision missiles from ships and planes, cyber, and other systems, yet you still must fight and close with the enemy. As technological advances accelerate, these weapons become increasingly sophisticated, and as a result of the application of information systems, increasingly smart. This condition demands adaptability, competence, wisdom, courage, and the very best of leadership from its officers. And I feel certain that you have developed over your course of 4 years of study these requirements. I congratulate you on your attainment of a commission. Frame it, keep your commission on display, and read it with regularity. I think it'll help guide you through some challenging times in the days ahead. It will give you strength when you face tough decisions. The Institute could not be more proud of you. Your families are proud of you, and you can take just pride in yourself and in your accomplishments. Our country is fortunate to have your decision to serve and to lead. Good luck to every one of you in the years ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct honor to be able to introduce our Army Commissioning Officer, Lieutenant General Theodore Martin. General Martin is a graduate of the United States Military Academy, where he was commissioned as an armor officer in 1983. He has led soldiers at all levels and in multiple deployments to combat. Most notably, he has served as the Chief of Armor for for the United States Army, the 73rd Commandant of Cadets at West Point, the Commanding General of the National Training Center at Fort Irwin, California, and the Commanding General of the 2nd Infantry Division in the Republic of Korea. Lieutenant General Martin is currently the Deputy Commanding General of the U.S. Army Training and Doctrine Command at Fort Eustis, Virginia. I can think of no finer officer to officiate over these proceedings. Ladies and gentlemen, General Martin.
Ladies and gentlemen, I can't tell you what an honor it is to be participating in Virginia Military Institute's commissioning ceremony today. Thank you for the opportunity to be part of the accession of the next generation of warrior leaders. To the future officers of all services, you should rightly bask in the warmth of your accomplishment. Embrace the moment. You earned it. The march to commissioning has been long and arduous, and you have much to be proud of and much to be thankful for. You should take some time to reflect on what you have achieved and on what lies ahead. A quick survey of the happenings on the world stage in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Yemen, the Crimea, the Ukraine, the South China Sea, to mention but a few, should give pause to even the most casual of observers. And for those of us in uniform, it must serve as a warning as to the seriousness and importance of the profession you have chosen to join, the profession of arms. Now, as is the custom, I will give you some advice to help guide you until you get your feet on the ground. 1, strive always to live an honorable life. You are on duty 24 hours a day. You don't need a checklist, and we won't give you one. What you have learned from your parents and from the staff and faculty of this fine institution has set you in good stead for that mission. Since 1839, the Virginia Military Institute has been the benchmark of honor and integrity. You have the foundation you need to succeed. I ask you to do the right thing and treat everyone with dignity and respect, and that includes the enemy. Remember, the only way you lose the moral high ground is to give it up. The choice will always be yours. Number 2, master your weapon system and train like your life depends on it. This is not a job for amateurs. Your soldiers demand and deserve the finest leadership. You need to become an expert at whatever profession inside of the United States Army that you should be given. Put the time in, study hard. It will pay off on the battlefield. And finally, number 3, I recommend you find a good sergeant. You will spend about 12 months in your first platoon. Your platoon sergeant will be there before you get there and there when you leave, and will have been there for about 12 years. They are the experts. They will teach you the ropes. I was fortunate. I had Staff Sergeant Stephen Delabar. He taught me everything there was to know about the M60 tank, how to maneuver it, and more importantly, how to participate as a member of a team in a cavalry troop. Now, in just a minute, you're going to take an oath. I hope you've had the opportunity to reflect on that. Our Army has required its soldiers and officers to swear oaths from the very beginning. When we say that we swear to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, what it means is that you are signing up to defend America and our way of life, just like they did on the 14th of June in 1775, when the Second Continental Congress, then our forces surrounded, Boston under siege, the colonies at risk, determined that we would establish our Army in that order. It didn't make a general, it didn't make a colonel, it made captains and lieutenants. It directed the establishment of 10 companies of expert riflemen composed of 1 captain, 3 lieutenants, just like you're about to be, 4 sergeants, 4 corporals, 68 riflemen, and a drummer, and they were sent on their way to Boston. In order that they knew what they were getting into, they swore an oath, and that oath from 1775 should sound familiar. I do acknowledge the United States of America to be free, independent, and sovereign states, and declare that the people thereof owe no allegiance or obedience to George III, the King of Britain, and I renounce, refuse, and abjure any allegiance or obedience to him, and I do swear that I will, to the utmost of my power, support, maintain, and defend the said United States against said King George III and his heirs and successors, and his and their abettors, assistants, and adherents, and I will serve the said United States in the office of lieutenant, which I now hold, with fidelity, according to the best of my skill and understanding, so help me God. They knew what their job was. You know what your job is. You are ready. Now, ladies and gentlemen, future Army lieutenants, please stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me. I state your name. Having been appointed an officer in the Army of the United States. In the grade of second lieutenant. Do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend. The Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation. Or purpose of evasion. That I will well and faithfully serve. In the duties of the office. Which I'm about to enter. So help me God. Ladies and gentlemen, your United States Army.
Good. That's a good start. Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and privilege to introduce our Marine Corps Commissioning Officer, Major General Daniel Yu. Major General Yu is a graduate of Arizona State University and was commissioned as second lieutenant in 1985 following completion of Officer Candidate School. Major General Yu is a hardcore career infantry officer. He's a Marine combatant diver, a military freefall parachutist, and a graduate of the U.S. Army Ranger School. Major General Yu is commanded at the platoon, company, battalion, regimental, brigade, division, and Marine Expeditionary Force forward levels. As a general officer, Major General Yu has served as the commanding general of Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, commanding general of 1st Marine Expeditionary Force Forward, commanding general, Marine Expeditionary Brigade, Afghanistan, assistant division commander and commanding general of the 1st Marine Division, and as commander, Special Operations Command, Pacific. Major General Yu currently serves as commander, U.S. Marine Corps Forces, Special Operations Command, or MARSOC, in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming a warrior and a Marine's Marine, Major General Yu.
Thank you for that warm welcome, General P., Mr. Bolin, distinguished guests, fellow flag and general officers, but most importantly, the cadets and family members of the class of 2019. It's truly an honor and privilege to participate in today's ceremony. You know, I've been a Marine for over 3 decades, and when you get our age, you turn into energy vampires, and being able to come and participate in ceremonies like this rejuvenates you, so it's great to be here. I'd also like to say good morning to all the alumnus that are here, for the former RATs. I've always wanted to say that term in a public setting, RATs. It's a term of endearment here. And like Marines, we have a saying, once a Marine, always a Marine. And I understand once a rat, always a rat. So welcome to all the RATs that are here. You know, I almost feel like a rat because I'm surrounded by them. I have rats in my headquarters at MARSOC at all levels of command and ranks, and leadership billets, and my neighborhood at Camp Lejeune's infested with rats. My neighbors are General Furness, the 2nd Marine Division Commander, Class of '87, and General Neri, the Commander of 2nd Marine Expeditionary Brigade, Class of '88. So as you can see, our neighborhood, the value has declined drastically. So let me focus at the task at hand here. First, I want to congratulate all the commissionees. Well deserved, but especially those that are going to join the ranks of our beloved Corps. Welcome. I'd also like to tell you all and try to encourage you all to focus on the significance of today's ceremony. It is a pretty significant day in the life of these men and women that are sitting in the audience here. It's easy to get overwhelmed by the excitement and what tomorrow has to offer, but the focus should be this solemn ceremony we're about to do. I will tell you this institution, and I can speak about this institution because I'm a Virginian, but a Northerner. And many of my classmates in high school traveled south to the Shenandoah to walk in your shoes as well, too. And it's a storied institution with a long and distinguished list of luminaries that have graduated from here. You now will join that rank of both the private and public sector, and many of those have served that are VMI alumnus. When you talk about the oath of office and you talk about the line, I bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That sentence and the meaning behind that sentence is probably one of the most significant written in the history of our country. When you raise your right hand later this morning and pledge your oath, the officer's oath, you are volunteering for service, sacrifice, and commitment. A life which many of our fellow Americans choose not to walk, that path. A path less traveled. But in my humble opinion, it is the purest form of citizenship that anyone can ever have in our great country. Because you will pledge an oath not to any particular individual, not to any organization, not to a political party, and not to any particular service. That oath is to our Constitution. And the strength of that oath in our military is based on the people seated to the right and left of you, fellow Americans who have volunteered for service. I will tell you, life here at VMI was not designed to be easy. The rigid schedules, the brutal attention to detail and discipline, the challenge of managing time and all the tasks, but most importantly, the expectation that each one of you will always exceed the standards. It was designed that way on purpose. It was to teach you the habits of thought and the habits of action and the commitment to execute those acts. You know, VMI is in the business of character development, like the Marine Corps. In our profession today, as General P and others have alluded to, there is much going on in the world. And our military is focusing on the discussion of multi-domain warfare. Rightfully so, because that is the new American way of warfare. But for Marines and the Special Operations community, the human domain will always be the most important. As you get ready to leave this storied institution and join your particular services as leaders, you'll have this oath to reflect on in the years here in Shenandoah and Old Lexington. There will be challenges out there, and your worth as a military officer will be based on your personal ethics and the reputation you build. That reputation will be founded on the ethical ground that you walk. And in order to build that professional reputation and endear yourself for those that you will be privileged to lead, and it will be a privilege, will be based on trust. Trust that is earned and built day by day. Your soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines will watch you every day. And they will watch if you are true of character, if you speak the truth, if you value your principles regardless of the situation, but most importantly, whether you make selfless or selfish decisions. Those men and women that you have been entrusted to lead are the finest this nation has to offer. And you have a moral obligation to ensure their well-being. You will be the one that will sort through chaos to make order for them so that they will be prepared for the next challenges that they face. I will tell you, our profession is one of the most challenging that any American can face. You will be exposed because of our profession to some harsh realities of humanity. And at times, you will wonder. You will wonder the meaning of what you are facing. It will be morally brutalizing at times. But you need to reflect and understand our profession is not for the faint of heart or moral character. So when you are faced with these challenges, I would ask you to reflect on your oath. Your oath will be your shield. Your commitment will be your sword in order to overcome these challenges. Think back of all those that walked before you here at VMI. Think back of the 10 cadets at Newmarket. Commit yourself on a daily basis to the profession of arms, because it is a profession. And most importantly, remember why we serve and fight if we have to. It's because of those sitting to your right and left in our great Constitution and our treasured democracy. So again, I congratulate all of you, especially the parents, because I'm a parent and I know what that took. And as you go forward, I know you will make us all proud. So God bless you, and Semper Fidelis. All right, for those that want to join the ranks of the modern day Spartans, stand.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce our United States Navy Commissioning Officer, Vice Admiral Andrew Woody Lewis. Vice Admiral Lewis is a 1985 graduate of the United States Naval Academy. Vice Admiral Lewis was designated a naval aviator in 1987. He's a fighter pilot, and he's accumulated over 5,300 flight hours and 1,100 arrested landings throughout his career. He has flown over 100 combat missions in Operations Desert Shield, Desert Storm, Southern Watch, Deny Flight, as well as Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom. Vice Admiral's many command tours include Commander, Carrier Strike Group 12, the Naval Strike and Air Warfare Center, Carrier Air Wing 3, and commanding officer of the Gladiators of Strike Fighter Squadron 106 and the Valiants of Strike Fighter Squadron 15. As a flag officer, Vice Admiral Lewis served as the Deputy Chief of Naval Operations for Plans and Strategy N3 and 5, the Vice Director for Operations J3 on the Joint Staff, and the Director of Fleet Training N7 at U.S. Fleet Forces Command in Norfolk, Virginia. He currently serves as Commander, U.S. 2nd Fleet, and Commander, Joint Forces Command, Norfolk. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Vice Admiral Woody Lewis.
Thanks, Colonel Strader, for the introduction. And thank you all for the warm welcome. I'm honored to be here as you, our newest leaders, begin your journey of military service. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, parents and grandparents, midshipmen and cadets. That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. When you repeat these words in a few moments, you're giving testament to the men and women you are. You're giving testament that you're willing to commit yourselves and your God-given talents to serving others through service to our nation. These words are evidence of your character, your values, and your virtues. Parents, when you hear your sons and daughters say this line, you can justifiably take pride that you've raised young men and women with a propensity to serve something greater than themselves. Today marks an inflection point in your life. When you enter the fleet, you bring neither the accolades nor the punishments awarded to you while studying at this fine institution. The leader you will become has been forged by your years here, but from this point forward, it's up to you. You won't have your parents, your teachers, or your classmates beside you. Your character will be marked by the words, deeds, and actions you take every day. From this day forward, you'll be senior to over 1 million enlisted men and women on active duty. Your focus is no longer on your training or your education, but on these sailors. They deserve quality leadership, and it will be your responsibility to provide it. This task, as you may suspect, is easier said than done, but nothing you do in uniform will be more important. You're receiving your commissions at a moment of extraordinary challenges for our society and the wider world. We face military and diplomatic tensions in Asia and Europe, raging conflicts in the Middle East, new frontiers in the Arctic and space, and the continued threat of terrorism around the globe. Within our own borders, the United States faces unsettling polarization and social division. And yet, in the face of these challenges, and in a world in which so many individuals act primarily for themselves in pursuit of wealth, fame, or status, you have chosen to adopt the ethos of the military, to serve. The selflessness involved in your commitment to protect and defend others, no matter the personal cost, is to be admired. From here, the next life-changing moment in the military will be when you face the challenge of combat. Regardless of whether you're an aviator, a surface warfare officer, or a SEAL, you will be making decisions that have life or death implications. In that moment, you will have no safety net, no textbook nor teacher to consult. You only have your character and your core values. So take care to continue to grow as leaders every day and to approach this honorable profession with great humility. Because make no mistake, with your pledge today, you join a generation of warfighters that will face more than any of us on stage could even fathom. After 3 decades of service, I still get excited about putting on my uniform every morning. I wish that I were joining you today at the beginning of your great journey. Your duty, your noble calling is vital to the future of this country. And looking at all of you, I am reassured for the future of America. I'm exceedingly proud of you. Congratulations to you all and to your families. Thank you. All those about to be commissioned as ensigns of the United States Navy, stand, raise your right hand, and repeat after me.
Good morning. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my distinct privilege to introduce today's Air Force Commissioning Officer, Lieutenant General David Thompson. General Thompson entered the Air Force as a 1985 graduate of the U.S. Air Force Academy. General Thompson is a career space officer with assignments in operations, acquisition, research and development, and academia. He has commanded operational space units at the squadron, group, and wing levels. The General is also an Olmsted Scholar, graduate of the Senior Acquisition Course, and Level 3 Certified Program Manager. His current assignment is the Vice Commander for Air Force Space Command, where he is responsible to the Commander of Air Force Space Command for training, organizing, equipping, and maintaining a 30,000-person mission-ready space force, providing missile warning, positioning, navigation and timing, and communications for North American Aerospace Command, U.S. Strategic Command, and other functional and geographic combatant commands. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Lieutenant General Thompson.
I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter. General P., thanks so much for the opportunity to come and address this group today and participate in the ceremony. Fellow flag officers, general officers, commandants, our OTC detachment commanders, thanks for what you've done to make this day possible as well. Colonel Biggs, thanks for the hosting and for introducing me. I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter. Mothers and fathers, grandparents, aunts and uncles, brothers and sisters, perhaps some sons and daughters, special guests and friends of all of these cadets out here, thanks not just for being here today, but thank you for all that you've done to make this day possible. Thanks for teaching these young American men and women right from wrong. Thank you for teaching them what it means to serve something greater than yourself, to aspire and to achieve. And most importantly, and especially for you moms out there, when these young men and women said, I think I want to seek commissioning and service in the Armed Forces of the United States, the fact that many of you probably swallowed hard, but your act of service and sacrifice, you said yes, and you supported them and will continue to support them. Thanks for all that you've done to make this day possible as well. I will well and faithfully discharge the duties of the office upon which I'm about to enter. These are not just words, you're swearing an oath, a sacred oath, to uphold these words and your duties with your life. I'd like to be able to stand up here today and give you the academic definition, the objective definition of what it means to well and faithfully discharge your duties. The Air Force has many instructions and regulations that describe your duties, but none of them say what it means to well and faithfully discharge them. Army field manuals don't do it either. There's no checklist, General Martin, that describes what that is. Navy orders don't tell you what well and faithfully means. The Marines, General, they may. I'm not sure. However, let me say this. It is clearly your duty and obligation to do your jobs well and faithfully. It's an objective measure, even though there's no number, there's no score, there's no percentage. Let's be clear, you will not be graded on a curve. You will not be graded compared to your fellow officers, your fellow soldiers, sailors, airmen, or Marines. Well and faithfully is objective in every sense of the word. But since I can't tell you academically or theoretically or by regulation or by order exactly what that means, let me give you a few examples of what it means to well and faithfully discharge your duties that I've seen, experienced, and I hope in most cases practiced over 34 years of active duty. Well and faithfully means working until the task is done. It means taking time to have some fun. It means doing the job the same way, whether anybody else is looking or not. It means sweating the details, but not sweating the small stuff. It means earning trust in little things so we can trust you with big things. It's not walking by a problem, it's leaving the place better than you found it, and it's setting up your successors for success. It's being the first person your comrades think of when they think of a wingman, or a shipmate, or a battle buddy, or a Marine. It's starting each day with the intent to make mom and dad proud, and finishing the day knowing that you have, while deciding that you'll make them even prouder tomorrow. It's not being afraid to make mistakes, but never making the same mistake twice. It's taking on the mission of your unit every single day and refusing to let it fail. Not on your watch, not ever. It's recognizing that what you do is not a job and never, ever treating it like one. It's putting your shoulder to the wheel and offering it to those who need to cry on it occasionally. It's lacing up your boots every day and on occasion planting it firmly in the hind parts of those who need additional motivation. Figuratively, of course. Well and faithfully defies an objective measure, but I know it when I see it. These flag officers and these leaders, they know it when they see it. Your mother and your father know when you see it. The American people know it when they see it. And believe me, you know it when you see it as well. One last thing about well and faithfully discharging your duties. It's the rest of that sentence that matters most. On the office upon which I'm about to enter. You see, all of you are going off to do great things. Some of you are going off to be pilots, logisticians, space operators, acquisition officers. You're going off to lead squads in the infantry. You're going off to field artillery. You're going off to armor. You're going off to be a surface warfare officer, a naval aviator, perhaps a special forces. You're going off to be a rifleman in the Marine Corps. All of these define specific duties each of you will do that is different than everyone else. But all of you share one specific duty, and it's related to the office upon which you're about to enter. Today we are commissioning you not as pilots, not as squad leaders, not as surface warfare officers. We're commissioning you as officers in the armed forces of the United States. And in that role, we are giving you America's greatest treasure. It's America's sons and daughters, and we're asking you to lead them in the sacred duty of defending our nation and our friends and our allies. That is a duty and a responsibility you all share, And I think you will all agree with me, whether you fully understand it or not, you are ready, and you will well and faithfully discharge that duty to defend our nation with America's greatest treasure, its sons and daughters. I know you're ready. I'm confident that you will do exactly that. And I'm excited to stand here with the artifacts of the past on this stage and look out on the hope and the promise of the future. So for those of you airmen seeking commission in the United States Air Force, please please stand and raise your right hand. I state your full name. Having been appointed a second lieutenant in the United States Air Force. Do solemnly swear. That I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States. Against all enemies, foreign and domestic. That I bear true faith and allegiance to the same. That I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion. And that I will well and faithfully discharge the duties. Of the office upon which I'm about to enter. So help me God. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in one last round of applause for our nation's newest military officers. At this time, ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the playing of the Armed Forces Medley and remain standing while the stage party departs.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the joint commissioning ceremony. Please join us at the individual ROTC pin-on ceremonies. The Army ceremony will be conducted at the Center for Leadership and Ethics. Navy and Marine Corps will remain in Cameron Hall, and the Air Force will be located in Jam Hall. We ask that the audience remains off the ceremony floor to allow for the Naval ROTC unit to set up for its individual pin-on services. Thank you for your attendance today. Hey, stay by.